to make that happen. That's good for the rest of the world, because you see, when the region is disturbed.
For years, no, for generations, Filipinos have been the quiet force behind Saudi Arabia's most powerful families, industries, and institutions. They've worked out of the spotlight, driven by heart, grit, and a level of dedication that's hard to rival. But recently, something changed. Something no one saw coming. A rare public message from the Saudi royal family has stirred emotions all the way across the Philippines. And this wasn't the kind of moment that fades by morning. This wasn't just polite recognition. It wasn't a routine thank you. It went deeper than that. This was the kind of message that reaches into the core of a relationship built over decades, maybe even generations. So what exactly was said? And why is it reshaping everything we thought we understood? Stay with me, because once you hear this, you won't see this connection the same way again. Let me ask you something. Who do you think Saudi princes trust the most? Their royal relatives? Their ultra-wealthy business allies? The aides who've been by their side for years? You'd think so. But you'd be wrong. When it comes to real trust, the kind that protects lives, guards secrets, and holds everything together, they turn to someone else entirely. Filipinos. Sounds hard to believe, right? Picture this. One of the wealthiest, most powerful monarchies in the world, built on oil, influence, and legacy, placing its deepest personal trust in people from a small island nation thousands of miles away. And no, this isn't just about employment. It's not about filling roles or getting the job done. This goes far beyond that. This connection wasn't built on salaries or schedules. It wasn't forged in contracts or time cards. It was built on something rare, something real. A human bond strong enough to cross borders, languages, and beliefs. And yet most people never notice it. They see the palaces, the luxury cars, the glittering skylines, but they miss the story underneath. And once you see that story, everything shifts. So let's rewind for a second. Picture Saudi Arabia. Vast deserts, immense wealth, tradition wrapped in modern power. Now picture the Philippines, a nation known for warmth, resilience, and an incredible ability to rise above any challenge. On the surface, they couldn't be more different. But when Filipinos began arriving in the kingdom, something clicked. This wasn't just about hiring workers. Saudi families were gaining something far more valuable. People they could trust, caregivers, confidants, individuals who, over time, became like family. Why? Because Filipinos bring something you can't put a price on, something no job description can capture. They call it malasakit. There's no perfect English translation, but think of it as a deep, genuine care that goes beyond obligation. It's showing up, not because you're required to, but because you truly want to. And in a world where trust can be more valuable than oil, that kind of loyalty, it's priceless. You might be thinking, okay, they're hardworking, so what? But this goes deeper than skill or effort. In Saudi culture, trust isn't just important, it's sacred. It's not handed out easily. It's earned, tested, proven again and again. And Filipinos didn't just meet expectations, they exceeded them in ways no one saw coming. You'll hear the stories, the real ones, about Filipino nurses who stayed at a royal's bedside long after their shift ended. Not because anyone told them to, but because they couldn't just walk away. About nannies who raised Saudi princes and princesses as if they were their own, teaching first words, soothing midnight tears, becoming that constant, gentle presence every child leans on. About chefs, drivers, and housekeepers who were trusted with the most private corners of royal life, and never, not once, broke that trust. And that right there? That's something money can't buy. Because it's not just what they do, it's how they do it. That warmth, that instinct, that emotional awareness, the almost uncanny ability to step into a room and just feel what's needed. Maybe it's silence, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's just being there without saying a word. You won't find that in a training manual. It's deeper than skill. It's real. And you can't fake it. You either have it or you don't. Filipinos, they have it in abundance. Now let's talk about something just as powerful: adaptability. Because if there's one thing Filipinos have mastered, it's blending in without losing who they are. Many come from backgrounds where respect for Islamic traditions is already part of life, especially those from Mindanao, where Muslim culture runs deep. So when they arrive in Saudi Arabia, they're not starting from zero. They already understand. They move with respect. They carry themselves with quiet dignity. They honor traditions that matter deeply in that society. And that didn't just get noticed, it made them stand out. Big time. They weren't just there to work, they became part of something bigger. And it didn't take long for people to catch on. Word spread fast. Filipino workers weren't just reliable, they were exceptional. Families didn't just hire them, they specifically asked for them. And before long, if a Saudi royal needed someone they could truly trust, with their children, their homes, even their most private lives, there was one clear choice. But here's where the story takes another turn. That trust didn't stay within the household. It expanded quickly. Filipinos started rising to the top in fields like healthcare, engineering, aviation, everywhere that precision, responsibility, and trust mattered most. Ever noticed how Filipino nurses, technicians, and skilled professionals are everywhere across the Middle East? That's not random. That's demand. The more they proved themselves, the stronger that trust became, and the deeper the connection between the two nations grew. The Philippines became one of Saudi Arabia's top sources of overseas workers. And in return, those workers sent money home. Support that kept entire families, even communities, afloat. What formed wasn't just an economic link, it was something far more rare. Genuine respect. And that's the part people don't talk about enough. Because if this were only about labor, Saudi Arabia had endless options. There are hard-working people all over the world. So why Filipinos? Because what sets them apart doesn't show up on a resume. It shows up in how they live, how they care, how they show up every single day, far from home, yet somehow able to create a sense of home wherever they go. That's not common, and Saudi Arabia recognized it. Now, to be real, it hasn't all been perfect. There have been struggles, difficult moments, even controversy. But through all of it, one thing never changed. In the end, it always comes back to one thing: trust. Because when everything's on the line, your life, your family, your legacy, who do you really rely on? Not the person with the flashiest title, not the one with the most impressive resume. You trust the one who's shown you, again and again, that they'll be there when it truly matters. And that's why, in a world where power can shift as quickly as desert sand, one thing has stayed steady. If you want loyalty, dedication, and someone who genuinely puts people first, you call a Filipino. That's just the reality. By the late 1970s, something incredible had taken shape. Filipinos in Saudi Arabia weren't just workers anymore. They had become part of the family, woven into everyday life, trusted not just to do a job, but to build bonds that lasted for generations. At first, it spread quietly. One family would tell another, "Hire a Filipino, you won't regret it." And just like that, demand exploded. Not because of flashy agencies, not because of big government programs, but because people saw the pattern. Consistency, reliability, heart. Filipinos didn't just show up, they took ownership. By the 1980s, hiring a Filipino wasn't just preferred, it was the gold standard. And these weren't short stays. Some remained with the same families for decades. Think about that for a second. Leaving your own home, crossing oceans, missing your own children, and dedicating your life to caring for someone else's. That's not just work. That's loyalty on a level most people can't even begin to understand. And then there are the stories. The ones that stay with you, like the Saudi prince whose health began to decline. He had access to the best doctors in the world. Money was no obstacle, but there was only one person he truly trusted to stay by his side. His nurse, a Filipina. Doctors rotated in and out. Specialists came and went. But she stayed. When he needed treatment overseas, he made one thing clear. No one replaces her. Because this wasn't just about skill, it was about trust. The kind that goes beyond contracts and paychecks. The kind that comes from knowing deep down that someone truly cares. And this wasn't just one story. There were countless others. Filipino workers who arrived as employees, but became something more. The ones who raised royal children, who turned grand houses into real homes, who were trusted with private matters, with wealth, with the care of future leaders. Take the young housemaid who joined a royal household before she was even out of her teens. Years passed, and she became part of the foundation of that home. The children didn't just know her, they leaned on her, trusted her, opened up to her in ways they couldn't with others. And when the princess she helped raise got married, she made a simple but powerful request. She comes with me. Not as staff, as family. That's the level of connection we're talking about. Because yes, plenty of people can follow instructions and collect a paycheck, but Filipinos bring something different. They bring heart. They bring warmth. They have this rare ability to make people feel safe, cared for, seen. And that, you can't buy it. Now it would be easy to think this story is perfect, but it's not. There were struggles, long nights, exhausting days, moments when homesickness hit hard. Not every employer was kind. Not every journey ended in gratitude. But here's what sets Filipinos apart. They don't give up easily. Even in the face of hardship or unfair treatment, they kept going. They adapted. They endured. They pushed forward. Not just for themselves, but for the families waiting back home. Because when a Filipino leaves home, they carry two things with them: hope and responsibility. And no matter how tough things get, they find a way to bring light, even into the darkest spaces. That's why you'll find them everywhere in Saudi Arabia. In hospitals, in schools, in corporations, in royal households. Handling responsibilities many wouldn't dare take on. Managing operations, overseeing finances, caring for elderly royals, running entire departments, trusted with roles that go far beyond any job description. And decade after decade, that trust hasn't faded. Why? Because generations of Saudis didn't just hear about that trust. They grew up with it. They lived it.